Dit daar. Fatlagennes. Today I'm in Polruan because I have just finished a race from Looe to Polruan, which was fun. Not the greatest weather today, it was very muddy and slippery. I have a medal thing. So this is stage 1 of the Saints and Smugglers challenge, which is 4 races, 100 miles in total or thereabouts, which I signed up for. Mi heb been as leverel bos edem ddim gwell here, but actually I think I did quite well. I always surprise myself at these things, like I show up thinking I'm going to come last place, like there's no way I'm fit enough to join races like this, but it always ends up being fine in the end. Like I expect to be near the back, but then I end up usually being around the middle. Or the one race that I did, which was just a 10k on flat ground, I was quite near the front in that one. Yeah, I think it went quite well. It was a bit of fun. Mera practisia, because practice begets improvement, and while I'm happy with my performance, I still want to improve. Always want to get fitter. The next part of the challenge, the next race, is going to be extremely difficult. I'm not quite looking forward to that. That's in over a month, so I've got time to prepare. But yeah, I'm gonna try and do as much as I can in the meantime. I didn't know how it was going to go today. I kind of felt a bit nervous because my legs haven't fully recovered from the walk that I did last week, because that had a lot of going up and down. My calf muscles were still quite sore, which that doesn't usually happen to me. Normally my legs recover within like 2 or 3 days. So yeah, I was a little bit concerned, but it was all good in the end. I had fun. In case you're wondering, my feet are wet and muddy as usual. So it's Sunday morning, just come out for a short walk along the river. Although apparently that's literally now, because I climbed down to the actual river rather than staying on the path. So yeah, yesterday was the race that I did, so I didn't really record any video during that, just a quick bit afterwards. I think I mentioned I usually come like around the middle in those races, which was true yesterday as well. I came like 41st out of 91. So yeah, not too much going on this weekend in terms of like video that I can record or anything. Next week, probably, I will be back on long distance practice to prepare for stuff that I've got coming up. Sometimes feel like I could just look at like the diffusion pattern in the mud as the water like laps at the shore for ages, because it's just fascinating. I think it's easy to take for granted like how many physical processes are happening everywhere all the time. Might be things that are completely inconsequential to our lives, but they're very interesting things nonetheless when you try to understand the actual physics behind what's happening. Something else that comes and goes like the tides is like my feelings of nostalgia when I look at things in the past or think about things. I mean, in the last week, for some reason, like I wanted to listen to old music recordings of bands that I've been in. And it made me feel really nostalgic. Nostalgia is kind of a weird thing. Sometimes I'll feel it and sometimes I won't. Like sometimes I look at my past and think, well, that's just what's happened in my life. But sometimes I look at it and think, this was good or this was bad. I wouldn't really want to go back there because through a lot of my life I was not really in a good place mentally. And it doesn't really matter, like I can look back at it now and think that maybe it was fun or whatever, but the reality is it probably wasn't at the time. Or I at least didn't feel the same way about it then. So wanting to experience that again is not entirely a positive thing. I kind of feel the same way about the future, and I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know if there's like an actual term for it. But something else that's weird is like being in the digital age. Like my memory of these things will fade, or it might change, but at some point it will be gone completely because I will die, and everybody who knows me or has known me will die. Everybody who experienced those things at the time, like who was also there, will also die. And like within hardly any time at all, like the human memory of these people will just be gone, like entirely. But you know, not accounting for hard drive failures and that, some of those like recordings of these events will be potentially preserved after the people in them have been completely forgotten in the real world. Which is a strange thought. I guess it's like when you look at like the really old photographs from 100 years ago, and there are so many people in those photographs that probably nobody knows who they were or would be able to identify them now. They're just people that once existed. I don't know, it's a strange thought. It's like in the same way the past is in the past. You'll never experience the past again, no matter how much you want to cling on to it or think about it. Like time only moves forwards. But time only moves forwards at, well, what we perceive as a fixed rate, because we live on the surface of the earth and that's not really going to change as far as I can tell. So the far future is, it seems almost as intangible as the past. The difference is the future will happen at some point, but the past will never happen again. I guess if you want to be physicsy about it. My feet are going in the mud now. There are ways to go into the future, if you want to call it that, but they're kind of inaccessible to us as human beings who live on the earth and aren't able to just place ourselves in extremely strong gravitational fields or travel near to the speed of light. Like those things would, well, from your perspective, everything would seem to happen at a much faster rate. So effectively, you're travelling forwards through time at a faster rate than the normal 1 second per second that we experience in our daily lives. But from other people's perspective, I suppose you would be seen to be experiencing your life in slow motion. But it's interesting because it is a real physical effect, and it effectively would be a way to like transport yourself further into the future than you would naturally live. I guess the other way to experience more of the future is literally just to live longer, which yeah, not sure what the science of aging really says about that. I mean, there are people that want to claim that we could potentially slow or cure aging, so to speak. But also, I think I think when you turn off like the mechanism that causes our cells to age and die, I think it just ends up causing cancer or something like that. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. Anyway, I think that'll be all for today. So I'll be back with some more kind of moving about exploration video, even if it's somewhere that I've already been, which it probably will be. But that will be next week. Thanks for watching this one. Like and subscribe and that. As well as